The envelope arrived on a cold winter night, its contents promising freedom and finality. Inside was a dossier with Robert's photo and basic information. The man was a recluse, rarely seen in public, and his mansion was more like a fortress. It was a challenge, but one I was more than ready to take on. I spent weeks studying the mansion's layout, observing the guards' routines, and planning every detail of the infiltration. I had never encountered a security system as sophisticated as this one, but I took it as a test of my skills. It was almost exhilarating, knowing that this could be my final job. Sarah, my confidant and partner in the shadows, expressed her concerns. "Mark, something doesn't feel right about this," she said, her green eyes filled with worry. "The pay is too high, the details too vague. It feels like a setup." But I was too eager to retire, too drawn by the allure of freedom. "I'll be fine, Sarah. I've handled worse. After this, we can finally live our lives in peace." She nodded, but the worry never left her eyes.
The night of the operation was tense. Mark was a ghost in the shadows, moving with practiced stealth. I watched from a safe distance, monitoring the feeds and ready to intervene if necessary. The plan was flawless, and Mark executed it with precision. He disabled the cameras, avoided the guards, and made his way to Robert's private quarters. Everything was going smoothly, until it wasn't. "Welcome, Mark," Robert said, his voice sending chills down my spine as I listened through the earpiece. The sudden flood of armed men was a nightmare come true. Mark had walked straight into a trap. My heart pounded as I watched the screens, helpless to do anything. "Mark, get out of there," I whispered, knowing it was too late. The men overwhelmed him, and I lost the feed. Panic set in, but I knew I had to stay calm. Mark was resourceful and strong. If anyone could survive this, it was him.
The bunker was a tomb of failed assassins. The evidence of their grim ends surrounded me, but I refused to be just another victim. The guards underestimated me, thinking I was already broken. They were wrong. Using every ounce of strength and training, I overpowered them. It wasn't easy, and I sustained injuries that would have broken a lesser man. But the thought of Sarah and the betrayal that led me here fueled my determination. I escaped the bunker, but the battle was far from over. Injured and exhausted, I knew I couldn't return to my old life. I was a marked man, hunted by the very people who once hired me. I needed to disappear, to find out who had betrayed me and why.
True. Mark had walked straight into a trap. My heart pounded as I watched the screens, helpless to do anything. "Mark, get out of there," I whispered, knowing it was too late. The men overwhelmed him, and I lost the feed. Panic set in, but I knew I had to stay calm. Mark was resourceful and strong. If anyone could survive this, it was him. Mark's disappearance was a blow, but I refused to believe he was gone. I kept searching, using every contact and resource at my disposal. Weeks turned into months, but I never gave up hope. Then one night, he walked through the door, battered but alive. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. Mark was different, hardened by his ordeal. Together, we began to piece together the conspiracy that had targeted him.
We delved deep into the criminal underworld, uncovering a web of deceit and power that stretched far beyond anything we had imagined. The organization that wanted me dead was vast and influential, manipulating events on a global scale. Our investigation was dangerous, but each clue brought us closer to the truth. We moved from city to city, always staying one step ahead of our pursuers. The more we uncovered, the more we realized the depth of the betrayal.
The trail led us to Laura, a former associate of Mark's who had risen to power within the organization. She was the mastermind behind the plot, orchestrating the hit to secure her position. It was a betrayal of the highest order. The confrontation was inevitable. Mark and Laura faced off in a battle of wits and strength. It was brutal and intense, but in the end, Mark emerged victorious. Laura's downfall was swift, and with her, the organization crumbled.
With the organization dismantled and our enemies defeated, I disappeared into the shadows once more. But this time, I wasn't alone. Sarah and I started a new life, far from the darkness of our past. We settled in a quiet town, living a life of peace and anonymity. The world believed the legend of Mark the Hitman had come to an end, but I knew better. I was a survivor, and as long as I lived, I would never again be the victim. Together, Sarah and I faced the unknown, ready for whatever the future held. Our past was filled with shadows, but our future was a blank slate, waiting to be written. And this time we would write it on our terms,